Welcome to Boring Money, Rich Life. I'm your host, Joy Hicks, and today we're going to talk about the government shutdown because yesterday, early Wednesday morning, the government did actually shut down. And so there's different things that are kind of being discussed right now, but one of the main things or one of the main points of contention is healthcare. And so Medicaid has kind of come into question a lot since the Trump administration has gotten back into office, and they're definitely wanting to do cuts to Medicaid. Now, Medicaid provides access to health care for lower income families, for people with disabilities. Also, sometimes it can help people with like chronic illness as well. So it's definitely a huge thing because it impacts so many Americans, and healthcare in general in this country is so expensive. So it's definitely a big thing. There were already kind of tensions because Trump, he has definitely been cutting the government already. Like we've seen a lot of federal layoffs this year. So there was already definitely some tension anyway. So I'm not necessarily surprised that we're seeing this shutdown just because, again, the Trump administration is definitely looking to cut a lot of government spending, but it's also kind of at the risk of the American people, right? And so definitely a point of contention. And with the government shutdown, it was saying about 750,000 workers are impacted by this, and they are expected to pretty much be furloughed, work unpaid during this time as expected. And that's what you kind of call like essential workers. It does suck because this is actually the first of the month time. Like, this is when rent is due, mortgages are due, and a lot of families live paycheck to paycheck. So, the expectation that they are expected to work unpaid during this time, yes, there will be back pay, but it's like, what do you do about your bills now? So, I was watching the news yesterday. They were definitely recommending that you should reach out to your landlords or like your mortgage company. You should definitely reach out to like your utilities companies and just let them know like you might need an extension if you are in that situation, just so things don't get cut off. But it's definitely like horrible timing. And also during this time, student loans are expected to be paid. And there was already kind of like this, I guess you could say, like backlog of applications for like income repayment. So, of course, shutting down the government is also going to impact those applications as well. So, it's just not great timing. Like, this is actually really bad timing. But we're going to go into some of the things that are impacted. So, military, border patrol, law enforcement, like customs, TSA workers, traffic controllers, in hospital care workers, they're all still expected to work during this time. Also, the SEC, a lot of their workers are furloughed right now. FEMA and like flood insurance, they're seeing impacts and delays as well, which that would kind of impact people who are trying to purchase a home in like a high flood zone area and they need flood insurance. They might see delays in regards to their application for that. And Social Security checks are still being sent out. It's just that new benefit applications or updated cards that need to be issued out, those types of things might see some delays. The Department of Public Health, they're still running at this time, like SNAP and WIC, those types of programs are still running. It's just that, like WIC, they were saying that they might have kind of like contingencies in how much funding is available. So I actually was watching an interview yesterday with one of their representatives, and she was saying that they do still have funding for women and children. They're still trying to assist with like pregnancy testing and things like that or screenings. It's just that if they don't get this funding, then they might run out of funding. And so the people who use their services might then need to go to like a food bank or something like that. So right now they do still have funding and are up and running. It's just depending on how long this takes. Now, surprisingly, yesterday, although we are seeing this government shutdown, stocks were actually doing pretty well yesterday. And they were saying it's because investors are not necessarily expecting the government shutdown to last too long. Today, Congress is closed for Yom Kippur as they're observing that holiday. So we know that they won't be voting again, at least until tomorrow. So we'll kind of see what happens tomorrow and if there's any progress or if this goes into next week. Now, also tomorrow, we were supposed to get September's non-farm job report, and that was supposed to be released, which was expected to be delayed. And then the feds, they're also supposed to announce a rate cut in the month of October. So we'll see if that is impacted. Also, Vance was sharing that layoffs may need to last in order to save money. So there's definitely a few things happening at once. There's a few things that are being impacted for sure. And so it's kind of just one of those things where we just have to kind of see where it ends up. Hopefully, it doesn't last too long. But I will say again, this is not great timing because we're already in a period of so much economic uncertainty. And so, me personally, I worked for the federal government for a brief time and I was considered an essential worker as well. Now, mind you, I never had to be essential during a shutdown, but I was essential around pandemic time when we were getting the vaccinations, and it was kind of like if you don't take it, you get laid off and you get fired later and all these different things. And so a lot of sentiment around like government employment is that it's supposed to be very stable and it's supposed to be one of the best jobs you could get. Me personally, I didn't feel that way. And that was one of the reasons why I left federal employment because I just felt like there's a lot at stake. And especially now, like it's very unfortunate that these people are expected to just continue work as usual while not getting paid, especially while Congress's salaries are not going to be impacted by this. So it's kind of just one of those things where it's very challenging because it's always like a mission first mindset. So you have to kind of put the mission ahead of yourself, ahead of your family, ahead of your own needs. And that was one of the reasons why me personally, I left federal employment. But I will say, and what's also being recommended right now, so if you are affected by this, and even if you're not, this is definitely a great time to get your finances in order. So, making sure that you do have savings is going to be important. I know a lot of times people want to kind of like bypass savings and go straight to investing. And the issue with that is your money is not liquid. So, it is invested, it's kind of saved for you, and it's supposed to be growing. But if you need to pay your rent today, you can't just go into that account and pull that money out. You have to connect with that brokerage company. You have to wait for them to transfer the funds. Sometimes there's fees associated with it and maybe penalties associated with it. So that's not money that you could just go in and easily access. So having a nest egg for things like this when there are shutdowns, when there are recessions and just economic uncertainty, it's really, really important. And that'll help you so that way you don't have to do things like go into debt or dip into your retirement fund or even like sell off your assets because the goal is that you're putting that money away so it can grow long term. So definitely having like a nest egg, at the minimum, at least savings for emergencies. Like most people do not have even $1,000 in savings. So at least getting to a point where you have like 1,500 to maybe even $3,000 that you could quickly access and then kind of building that up as well. And then also during this time, like if you have a decent nest egg, let's say you have like $3,000 to $5,000, paying off debt during this time is also going to be really, really important because you don't want to get laid off and then you have all of this high interest debt because of course, they don't care that you're not getting paid. They are still going to want their money. They're still going to rack up interest on your payments and things like that. That's also going to be really important. And then once you have both of those things balanced, then also investing so that way you can grow your money and you can actually start building wealth for yourself and for your family. So I'm definitely going to keep watching this, especially tomorrow. So that way we can kind of see if there is any agreement tomorrow or if this shutdown does continue into next week. I will definitely keep you guys updated. But as always, what is one boring thing that you can do today to start fueling your rich life? Again, I'm your host, Joy Hicks. Thank you for watching and be sure to like and subscribe.